Okay, so since Jay couldn't make it tonight because he had to do things like, work, stupid work, we're just going to roll straight into the intro. So, it's the Error Code Show for July 17th, your place for news, pop culture, gaming, whatever, politics, whatever the hell else we want to talk about. If you want to support the show, you can use your Prime subs on Amazon Prime if you're watching us on Twitch. You get one free Prime sub, and so you can give us Amazon's money. I'm happy to announce we actually, with promotions and stuff like that, we hit 1,000 subscribers. So I really, really appreciate everybody on the YouTube side of the house. Thank you all for subbing to the channel. We really, really appreciate it. Now we're going to try and march to 5,000 subs. That's our next goal. It's subs and watch hours. That's what we're going for. And so with that out of the way, we're going to jump straight into our first segment tonight. And here's one of my favorite things. Even way back when Epstein first himself, right, supposedly, right, it was the one thing that united the left and the right was that Epstein didn't himself, right? And so obviously, coming into this election cycle, Trump was always waffly about it, but all of his supporters were like, yeah, elect Trump, we're gonna release all the things, and then they got elected. And then, Pam Bondi, I've got the list on my desk. We're reviewing things. And then they did the weird binder thing, which was its own whole ball of kittens. And a bunch of people were like, the binders. It's phase 1 of the Epstein files. And it was all stuff that had already been released. Then about a week ago, they released an unsigned memo basically saying, nope, there's nothing to see here. Yep, he yerped himself. And there's no files. And there's nothing we can do. And we're closing the case. What's interesting about this whole thing is this is finally, I think, what's finally splitting MAGA. It's finally, this is the thing that's breaking them apart. It took a while. And so right after that, there was a lot of, back and forth, like, hey, special prosecutor, And initially, they basically did nothing. This really all kind of came to a head this week, with this particular post that good old DJ PT put up on his True Social, and was probably the first time he was ratioed on his own platform. Just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, blah, blah, blah. It's a hoax. It's a scam. And so this is now the party line. But what really got it, right? Let these weaklings continue to go and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking about our incredible success because I don't want your support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And that actually set off, a lot of people. It set off. I've been watching this go back and forth on Twitter and a couple of other platforms for about a week now, and it's been hilarious. Okay? This is the thing that finally broke MAGA. This is what did it. He finally broke MAGA with this. It's amazing to me that this is finally what did it. I didn't know. You could list off the cacophony of crap that he just throws out there. And this is finally what caused MAGA to start abandoning him. It really has amazed me. It really amazes me that this is what finally did it. This is the first time I've seen him like significant people within the MAGA-verse have broken with him. Now, he still has his people who are basically towing the party line. And it looks like the people who get the talking points got the talking points, which is, it's not a big deal. Let's just move on. Let's trust Cash. Let's trust Dan Bongino. And that's not even putting aside all the rumors that have been flying around that Dan Bongino doesn't agree and he's mad about it and Cash is fine and Pam Bondi's an idiot. Because initially they tried to dump all this on Pam Bondi and make it look like it was her. It wasn't Trump. It wasn't anything, which always, again, nothing is ever Trump's fault. And that's what amazes me the absolute most, right? Is none of it is his fault. Okay? Because in spite of the fact that he's the president and the AG works for him and he can fire the AG, hey, look, nothing. Just nothing. So they always want to find somebody else, right? In spite of the fact that he's the president and is in charge, it's always somebody else's fault. Somebody tricked him, or somebody's not doing what he said, or whatever. They tried Pam Bondi, and then he came out and he was like, no, Pam Bondi's doing a great job. I love Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi's great. All these things. It really is amazing to me how this finally broke them apart. It shocked me. And yeah, there's a lot of them. I'm watching the chat right now. There's a lot of people. And again, it's the ones who got the talking points, the Ben Shapiros, right? They will find the mental gymnastics. Him, Charlie Kirk, everybody else. They're like, yeah, whatever. We're just gonna buy. And the rumor was Trump called Charlie Kirk himself. What's the one that really broke away from him, and this might be a topic for later today. Tucker Carlson's been kind of taking a right turn, just out of somewhere. And he's not particularly happy with the president right now. And I find that kind of amazing. He's also been saying things where you're like, stop making sense, you clown. Right? I don't want to agree with you, right? Because I freaking hate you. But hey, that's what it is. But yeah, like I said, it's the first time I have seen significant pull away, right? Where it's not just little onesie twosies. It's not little. Now, the interesting thing about the people pulling away is there is no danger at this point for them pulling away. And there's no political danger for Trump either. And the reason there's no danger is this. He's not running for another term. He's a lame duck president, right? Trump knows this, right? And especially with the medical stuff that came out today, I think we can firmly say, again, I don't put it past him to try and install somebody or do some wonky shit. Don't get me wrong. But he's not coming back, right? He knows this is the end of the road for him, okay? He's 79 years old, something like that. And then he's, by the time he's out of office, he's going to be in his mid-80s. And he's not doing well. And that's very obvious. So again, there's no real political price to pay anymore for people breaking away from him. Not yet, right? And I'm not talking about senators and congressmen. I'm talking about the ecosphere, the ecosystem that surrounds right-wing media and stuff like that. Again, I don't think there's any danger right now for them to break away. I think that they're pretty safe in doing it, and I think that's one of the reasons they're doing it. Is that they feel like they can at this point because they're not worried about access when he goes back in there. And this also gives everybody else a lot of plausible deniability about everything else that's going on. So that's what it is. So yeah, Epstein, it finally broke him, right? It finally broke the MAGA hold on a lot of them. Yeah, I'm really curious. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Does this surprise you? Are you shocked? I'm curious. Before we get on to the next topic, we'll kind of play around here for a couple bits. By the way, I want to throw this out there for my gamer people who are in the stream right now. Until July 24th, Civ 6 Platinum is free on the Epic Game Store. I went and downloaded it today because I was like, Civ 6 Platinum's free? And I confirmed it after I went to the article. It is actually free right now. So if you download the Epic Game Store launcher, hashtag not a sponsor, although if they want to, sure. It's free on the Epic Game Store right now, which I think is pretty stinking cool. So that's definitely a lot of fun. There was something else I was going to talk about. Anyway, those of you in chat, I've seen a few of the stuff we got suggested on the Discord server for topics. We're going to hit a couple of those later today or later this evening. So try and keep that chat super active because I'm rolling solo tonight. And believe it or not, it's so much easier when I got somebody to toss to. So I'm counting on you, chat. I really am. So keep it in there. So yeah, if you have any topics you saw, maybe something today that came out, let us know what you'd like to talk about in the chat. And if you're watching this as a recorded live stream, if you join us for the chat, you can throw in live action topics inside the chat window, and we try and hit those during the show. Okay. With that down, let's move on to our next topic tonight. And it is officially the end of an era at CBS. CBS announced yesterday, they made the call yesterday, and they announced today, I believe, that they are officially canceling The Late Show. No, they're not replacing Colbert. They're just straight up canceling The Late Show. So this upcoming season that's starting, this is the final show. The Late Show started in 1993, making it a 32-year-old show, and obviously was made famous by David Letterman in his top 10 lists, and he was there until 2015 when he retired. And they moved Stephen Colbert from Comedy Central, which is also owned by Paramount. And we're going to talk about this in a couple of minutes, how this kind of all relates to Paramount. They moved him from, they offered him the job to move from the Comedy Central, where he hosted the Colbert Report, to The Late Show. And he, of course, took that job because it's network, and who wouldn't? So yeah, in 2015, they moved Colbert in there, and that was 10 years ago. And now they are just ending it. CBS is saying it has nothing to do with ratings or anything like that. They're calling it a financial decision, which kind of baffles me. I don't know, and actually this might be a good thing to ask. I don't know how much Colbert makes. I can't find anything specific. It looks like 15 million a year ish, which really is not that much in the grand scheme of things. And here's the thing: these are cheap shows for them to produce. Like, they are really, really cheap production wise, right? It's a single set. They don't have to rebuild it. They're not paying the guests. The guests are booked by PR people. So, like, when he has, David Cornsweet on there to talk about the new Superman movie, they're not paying David Cornsweet to come on the show. So, it's a standing cast, and it's a standing crew. They basically have, one on-air guy that they pay, and it also airs far more than most network shows do. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure when CBS is calling it a financial decision what they're talking about, because I would hazard a guess, in spite of the fact that network is going down and down and down and down and down and down, and they haven't made a good shift to digital. I would hazard to guess that the show's probably got to be profitable for them, right? I can't imagine, and I can't imagine that if it wasn't profitable, if the show wasn't making money, and they went to Steven and said, "Look, dude, we're losing, $25,000-$50,000 an episode." I can't imagine that he wouldn't deal. This brought up a question, and because this happened, and obviously Comedy Central is owned by Paramount as well, somebody decided to ask Mr. Jon Stewart whether he was worried that they were going to cancel The Daily Show. And Jon Stewart said, quote, "Unfortunately, we haven't heard anything from Paramount or Skydance. They haven't called me and said, don't get too comfortable in that office." He continued, "Let me tell you something. I've been kicked out of shittier establishments than that. We'll land on our feet." Stewart added that he'd like to believe that if Skydance were looking at The Daily Show from a business perspective, it would value the program. Only a few others like South Park are bringing attention to Comedy Central. If they're looking at purely as a real estate transaction, I think we bring a lot of value, Stewart said. That may not be their consideration. They may sell the whole fucking place for parts. This brings us to what's going on there. So Skydance Media, Paramount has been looking for which is owned by National Amusements. Okay. So National Amusements, which is the parent company that owns Paramount and a lot of other things, right? And you'd be surprised, again, if you go look at like Paramount Plus, the stuff that's under the Paramount banner, like MTV, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, there is just a crap ton of stuff that's there. The Redstone family, who own National Amusements, was like, we don't know what to do. So Skydance Media says, okay, we're gonna buy Paramount Global, right, for $8 billion. Okay, that's the deal. Okay. Now there was, and somebody in the chat brought this up. There was some lawsuit stuff that went on with Trump, right? And Paramount settled, and actually it was funny because both Colbert and Jon Stewart made fun of it, right? Paid $16 million to settle a 60 minutes lawsuit about editing an interview with Donald Trump. And basically what I'm sure the two reasons they did it was they said, hey, look, this lawsuit, settling it for $16 million is going to be way cheaper than taking this to court and fighting him, right? And then the other piece of it, I'm sure, has to do with this merger, which still needs FCC and FTC and all these people to approve it. And with the Trump administration in charge, having the president having a personal vendetta against your merger is probably not a great position for Paramount and Skydance to be in. So do I think that was a consideration? I absolutely do. Do I think it was the primary consideration? Not necessarily. I would think it was probably second on the list after how much is it going to cost us to fight this in court, and how long are we going to spend, how much time are we going to spend fighting this at every level, right? And that thus delaying the merger, which is supposed to close in the third quarter, which we're in now, sometime this quarter. It's a big plus. The funny thing is Paramount actually has a lot of very good, very popular content. Yellowstone is under the Paramount banner. That new one, Landman's under the Paramount banner. Again, Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon. Like, there's a crap ton under Paramount. They also own a lot of IP, right? And this is one of the reasons why, like, Amazon bought MGM. Hang on, I'm going to check something. What's owned by Paramount Studios? What major IP is owned by Paramount? Let's go here. Okay, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Yeah, Star Trek is under Paramount. Right? Mission Impossible's Transformers. They have MTV, VH1, TV Land, Logo, CBS Films, Republic Pictures, SpongeBob, right? Any of that stuff all falls under Paramount. So they have a lot of IP that is very valuable to Skydance. The Top Gun series, owned by Skydance, or owned by Paramount. They own a bunch of TV stations. Yeah, and then they've got their CBS sports stuff. And that's the other thing that I'm sure that Skydance is buying Paramount for, which is the rights, the NFL Sunday game rights, right? Because that is still a very profitable piece of business for these network stations, is their rights to air NFL games, right? Somebody in the chat saying Paramount Plus is a shitty app. It always used for freezing these. You said I don't have any issues with Paramount Plus, and I do have a subscription to Paramount Plus. My wife is a huge fan of police procedurals because she can just kind of half zone out and not really watch them. She listens to a lot of them while she's working, and they're easy, like, fodder shows for her to just, because she does that, like, as background noise while she's working. So I do have a Paramount Plus subscription. I have it on Apple TV. So I don't generally have issues with Paramount. I don't generally have issues with most of my streaming apps on Apple TV, on the Apple TV box. I've tried other boxes. I've had Fire Sticks. I've had Chromecast. I haven't had a Roku yet. Part of the reason I keep going back to Apple is, again, I've already got a lot of stuff in their ecosystem, like movies and TV shows and stuff that I bought way back when, pre all this stuff. So there's a reason for that. But yeah, honestly, with all the stuff that Paramount owns, I don't know if Skydance is going to try and sell it off for parts, or what they're going to do. I doubt they're just going to sell it off. They may sell pieces of it. But the problem with selling pieces of it these days is, in constant media consolidation, is you're running out of people to sell to, right? Like, who's going to buy CBS Sports? There's nobody to buy it. who's going to buy MTV? I don't know who can afford it. That's the issue that I see there. The number of companies that aren't already in the space and don't already have a competing product is pretty low. It'd be funny if TikTok brought MTV. That would make me laugh and actually would fit with the whole music and where TikTok came from. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is canceling the Late Show a good idea? Is it really a financial decision, or are they just mad about crap? Let us know what you think down in the comments below. To the people talking about getting apps to the TV. Okay, I will tell you this, and I actually just had this conversation with my in-laws because they were trying to use their TV apps, the inbuilt apps on the thing, and then it started to fail. So there's a problem with smart TVs, and honestly, God, go off on this one. Smart TVs are terrible. Okay, they just are. And the reason they're bad, and I wish they would go back to dumb TVs, right? And by that, I mean still like high quality HD and good ports and stuff, but I don't need a bunch of apps on the TV because here's the problem. The hardware inside of your smart TV is generally not very good, right? The board and the RAM and all the stuff that you're using to run that is not great. And it can never be upgraded, right? It's not like a computer where I can, piece out parts and change stuff. So I never recommend, if at all possible, using the inbuilt apps in the TV because they tend to, after a couple of years, 2-3 years into a TV's lifespan, those will start to fail. As the software gets updated and stuff like that, it doesn't have the ability to run them well. There's also so many different smart TVs out there with so many different configurations, hardware wise, that it's really difficult for them to do that. They're all basically, as far as I understand, running kind of a dummy Android system, Android OS that's basically just reskinned. So I generally recommend if you have the ability, do a different set-top box, right? Like Apple TV, Roku, stuff like that. Again, I'm so deep in the Apple ecosystem that they've got me by the but an Apple TV 4K is only $129, right? It's not expensive. I don't know how much Rokus are these days. I do know that the Roku stick is $20. The Roku box is $70. So Rokus are a little cheaper. Again, I don't have a lot of experience with Roku, so take that for what it's worth. Yeah, Apple has me by the grapes. Chat is absolutely 100% correct. I was so bought into their ecosystem in the iPod era, right? That I can never leave now because I can never transfer all of my media that I've purchased from Apple. All the TV shows and all the music and all the movies that I've bought from Apple over the years. I'm stuck. Also, these days, I will give Apple credit. Apple TV Plus has some of the best TV shows on. They don't have very many. They don't have a huge library yet because they're fairly new in the streaming game. But the stuff they have is really, really, really good. It's really, 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 really good. Okay. I'm going to do something real quick. That's going to black you out for just a minute. No. Let's hit a couple of quick topics here that I got in the server today. Yeah, we can talk about that. Superman box office. They actually set records. They set records both Tuesday and Wednesday. For the best Tuesday and Wednesday of the year so far. They did 17 million on Tuesday. And then yesterday they did another 12 million, right? So we'll go back over to our good friend Box Office Mojo. It has already climbed to the number 12 spot for the year, and it's barely been out a week, and it is the number 12 on the box office thingy. Lilo and Stitch finally broke $1 billion, and good on Disney for doing longer theater runs. They're not shortening their theater runs. There's a bunch of stuff How to Train Your Dragon is going to be on streaming in a week. Mission Impossible is already out on streaming. Jurassic World's coming to streaming pretty quick. Disney is not doing that, and I got to give them credit for doing full theatrical runs. Lilo and Stitch just barely cracked $1 billion. So again, we've talked about this a bunch of time. That Neja 2, again, they're saying 1.9 billion, and there's some questions on that number because it's not independently verified like everything else. But Lilo and Stitch broke that. Superman's at 261 million and some change, about 262 worldwide a week in. I really hope that Warner Brothers is smart. Like, I'm really hoping that they're smart and that they have that they leave it in there for a good theatrical run. I know there's going to be a temptation because Fantastic Four comes out in a week that they're going to be like, no, we're pulling it, right? And we're going to stick it on HBO Max. I don't think David Zaslav or James Gunn are going to do that. I doubt it. But they could. I hope they don't. My guess is that Superman is going to get into the top 5 here shortly. Now, whether it'll stay there all year is a very good question. I don't know. What do I think Superman will get in the long run? A lot of that's going to depend on this weekend. I'll be able to give you a better feel on that after this weekend. Depending on how big of a drop Superman takes in week 2, keeping in mind 50 to 60% drop from week 1 to week 2 is normal. That's normal. That's regular. Don't be like, oh no, it dropped 60%, it's a flop. No. A 50 to 60% drop in week 2 is absolutely normal. Let's see, today's Thursday. We'll see what they do today. If they do 60 million over the weekend. I mean, at this point, I think they're going to get to 600 million, which would put it in the number 4 spot. How many times K-pop Demon Hunters has been viewed? That's a good question. And I'll tell you this, my daughter is super into K-pop Demon Hunters. I found out about K-pop Demon Hunters about a week ago, as my daughter has been watching K-pop Demon Hunters, and I was like, what is this? So that's definitely, K-pop Demon Hunters is a thing. So I would be curious. On the Lilo and Stitch thing, really what's one of the things that's helping it quite a bit is it's made 584 million overseas. It's been very popular overseas. Yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters is a new anime. Got the AMC passing. Look, AMC, I will say this, of all of the streaming thingies that I use, AMC A-List is probably the one that I get the best value out of. Gives hope the third Spider-Verse will suck. They've done so good on the first 2 Spider-Verse movies that I don't see them screwing it up, especially given how much time they've taken to make sure they don't. So I would be genuinely surprised if they goof up Spider-Verse number 3, which is Beyond the Spider-Verse. So yeah, where do I see Superman landing? It's obviously going to get past Final Destination this weekend. It's going to do more than Thunderbolts, which really is sad because Thunderbolts was a better movie than Captain America. Captain America did a little better. Really the question that I'm wondering about is Fantastic Four. That's a curious one for me, is how well Fantastic Four is going to do. Where do I think it's going to land? I think it's going to get to 600 million. And I think that James Gunn and DC are going to be popping bottles. I think they're going to be really, really happy with $600 million. I think they're going to go, in spite of the amount of money they spent advertising this film, which I think was necessary because this is the hard reboot of the DCU. They spent a crap ton on advertising. I think it was necessary. And I think that this is setting up the DC. The fact that Superman is both good and is going to make them a decent amount of money, I think sets up the DCU for success going forward. I think that there is a chance that Supergirl can get close to $1 billion if it's good. I'm really psyched for Fantastic Four. I am too. And the new clips they've released this week have got me even more hyped. Now we kind of have a better idea of what the movie's really about, which is Galactus wants Franklin. Which, shocking. Franklin, super powerful. Like, not surprised at all. Um, I'm really curious. I'm curious where it's going to land, but I would guess it's going to move its way, at least temporarily, into the number 4 spot. I think it is going to be a top 10 grosser for the year for, uh, for, uh, for movies. Hang on, there was some other ones I wanted to get in here. That somebody else brought up here. Um, Superman's success, Marvel's Ironheart's failure. I mean, some of it comes down to a lack of trust in the current MCU. Some of it comes down to they did a lot of bad things that hurt their brand for about 3 or 4 years, and they're still recovering. Um, it's Superman movie success and Marvel's Ironheart failure. What could Disney do better? Why is it failing in 2 major fan universes? Is it the writers or the fans? Is it Disney trying to please everyone and not caring about stories? No, it's not them trying to please everyone. I don't think that that's a factor. I think that what happened was when Bob Chapek took over, his mandate to the production teams was as much as you can, as fast as you can. Just get it out, 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 get it out. And keep in mind, Ironheart has been done for a while. I really think it comes down to they didn't know how to write TV shows. They didn't have traditional showrunners. So they didn't know how to do TV right. Once Bob Iger came back and put the production stuff back in the hands of the producers, I think that they've gotten better. Daredevil, Born Again, great. I think they've got some good stuff. I think Thunderbolts was a really good movie. The only one I was really disappointed with this year is Captain America. And I would say that of the movies post Endgame, most of them have been okay or better. But in the words of my favorite movie YouTuber, you used to go to Marvel movies expecting greatness. Now you're hoping for good, right? And that's really where it came down to is, again, I think they did some damage to their brand and they're recovering from that. I think that Thunderbolts was a good step in the direction. I think Daredevil was a good step in that direction. And I think that it looks like Fantastic Four is going to be a step in that direction. So, that's that. Somebody was talking about a review of Ironheart, and yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't good. It was just kind of there, right? And that's the problem, is that it was just kind of there. And that's not what we expect out of Marvel. That's not what we want out of Marvel, is just there. Summer fun projects and experiences for 2025. My goal this year is to take my daughter to her first drive-in movie. We were thinking about doing it this weekend. That's not going to happen because of what's playing, and I don't want to watch Smurfs for the first feature. It was going to be Smurfs and Superman, and I was like, F that. I don't want to watch Smurfs. She didn't want to watch Smurfs, and nobody wants to watch Smurfs. I don't know why they made another Smurfs movie. It's ridiculous. Stop it. So that's my big one for this summer. Aside from that, it's surviving with work. Because work it's been a fucking battle, man. I will not lie to you. So they lost me when the hero turned to crime to fund heroics. That doesn't bother me. In fact, I think that there's room for a good story there. I really do. I think that there's a story there where you could be like, I had to turn to crime to fund my heroics. I do think that there's a story there. I just think it was executed poorly, right? I think that there's a lot of these stories that we see where I'm like, okay, I see where they were going, but I just don't think they quite stuck the landing, right? It's kind of like Star Wars Acolyte. There's a good story buried in there. And I would be willing to bet that a lot like the Obi-Wan show, and the Obi-Wan show is another good example of this. It's buried in there. There's the bones of something neat. And I'm sure when they were in the pitch room and they were pitching this show to the executives and going, greenlight us, it sounds good and it looks good on paper, but that's only half the battle, right? You still got to execute it right. And I think that is where they kind of fell down. And it actually disappoints because Ryan Coogler, who I think is great, he was one of the executive producers on this. And that was another reason I was disappointed. Again, I think that there is a good show in there somewhere, right? Part of this is I think a lot of these aren't really TV shows. Like, I think Ironheart could have been a good movie, right? I think a 2-hour movie probably gets that story done a little better, right? Because you can cut that whole first episode down to the first 10 minutes of the movie. Okay, so she gets kicked out of the school, and there's this, and then, we keep going. So again, I think that there's the bones of a good story buried in there. I just think that they didn't execute it as well as they could have. And I mean, that's really kind of what it boils down to. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it besides, that. So that's why I think it is that way. How to handle the heat wave? Stay the heck inside. Emmy nod. Severance did really, really well. I think my guess for the Emmys, and we'll do these as kind of quick topics here. My guess for the Emmys is that it's the Pit's year. I think the Pit is anywhere they're nominated. I think they're going to win. Basically everywhere. I know Andor got nominated for Best Drama, and I'm like, God, I'm good for Andor for getting nominated, but nope. Do you think Disney would do a 2-hour MCU film to streaming? No, and they did it with a couple of the short ones, like they did it with the Werewolf by Night show and the Guardians of the Galaxy thing. The issue, and Disney knows this now, especially with Bob Iger, right? Let's say you do Thunderbolts as a straight to MCU film, straight 2-hour MCU film, straight to streaming. Even though Thunderbolts only made $382 million, it's $382 million more than they would have had in their pockets had they not put it in theaters, right? The problem with going straight to streaming, as far as the economics of it right now, and this is where, and Netflix knows this, right? Netflix knows this. This is why Netflix cancels so much crap so fast, is that the only value that has is bringing in new subs. And you can't tell me that any of these films are going to bring a significant amount of new subscribers to Disney. They're just not going to do it. I think Disney has cracked the code. Disney Plus is profitable now. They make money on it. And so there's that. I don't see Ironheart getting a lot of love as a theater film. It may not have. And now again, I think that there's a floor for MCU films, and I think we finally found it with Thunderbolts. It's about $390 million is probably the floor. Even Captain America made $415 million. 375 to 425 million is kind of the floor for an MCU film. So if you can make it for around 110 million ish, right? And then $50-60 million on marketing, you can make your money back, right? You're going to be profitable, right? And again, I think a film like Ironheart, they could do cheaper because they're not putting in Robert Downey Jr. The stars that cost them a crap ton of money aren't in that show. So they can make it cheaper. And so it's not as hard to recoup your costs, right? This is why all those cheapo horror films get made. Man, they can pump out these $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million horror films, and the horror community is going to go watch them. And if it makes $60 million, then they're happy. They're like, great, we made our money back, and plus some. Now we can make 4 more of these, right? We're good to go. I do think that basically MCU films have a floor of about $375 million. What's the lowest grossing MCU film? The Marvels was the worst. How much did that gross? 274. I don't know if I count the Incredible Hulk. That was 264. This is back before they got really big. Captain America made $370 million. And to keep that in mind, here you go. The first Captain America movie. This is the thing we got to keep in perspective too. The first Captain America movie in the MCU, which we all are like, that was a hit. It was great. It made $370 million. That was it. That's all it made. It didn't make that much money. And so Thunderbolts, which is the worst one this year, right? It made $382 million, and Captain America 4 made $415 million. Black Widow, that wasn't Black Widow's fault. They released that straight to streaming, which was stupid. Eternals was better than everybody gave it credit for. Captain America Brave New World. This is obviously was not updated before Thunderbolts. So Thunderbolts would fit right here. It did a little more than Black Widow, less than Thunderbolts. Captain America, Shang-Chi did $432 million. And again, we don't think that was a flop per se. Estimated budget was $450, so it probably made its money back. Thor, the first Thor movie, again, only made $449. Ant-Man 3 made $476. Ant-Man 1 made $519. Again, we kind of have selective memory for kind of these box office grosses. The first Captain America only made $370 million. It just, and again, we look at that as a hit. That's what we think about when we get that movie. Do I think it's a comic book thing that the other Disney movies blow the MCU out of the water? No. I think it's a market thing, and that's because Lilo and Stitch is a 4-quadrant film. It applies. It is watchable and wants to be watched by the entire movie-going market. Your market for Lilo and Stitch is everybody, right? So that's why Lilo and Stitch can make $1 billion, right? It's marketed for everyone, right? It's millennial nostalgia. It's millennial nostalgia. It's all kinds of stuff that make that movie make $1 billion. That's why, again, you're marketing to certain people with MCU films, right? And that's what it comes down to. So, I'm trying to see if there was anything else. Did anybody drop anything in the chat? Just because somebody asked. Let's look at streaming show ratings. Most watched. Let's look at our Nielsen for this week. Was this week? Yep. Blind Spot, Ginny and Georgia, Love Island, Animal Kingdom, The Waterfront. They may not have released numbers on watch minutes. K-pop Demon Hunters. I don't have any data on that. I don't have any data on how much it's there. It's not in the top 5. I can tell you that, but that's not saying much. So there's that. All right, moving on. I do actually have, speaking of movies and stuff like that, I actually do have another planned topic for tonight. So we're going to try and do this one now. So look, I am a big fan of Christopher Nolan's movies. I really am. I thought Oppenheimer was great. I love the Dark Knight series. I like Inception. I like a lot of Christopher Nolan stuff. And his next movie is his adaptation of the Greek, of the Greek epic, The Odyssey. Right? And it's a big deal, and it looks like it's going to be great. And it's Christopher Nolan, so good chance of this. They did something really, really weird that I have never seen before, and I didn't know was going to be a thing. Obviously, tickets go on pre-sale, right? Fantastic Four tickets are already out. We see pre-sale tickets all the freaking time, like a month, maybe a month and a half before it. No, they put tickets on sale for The Odyssey 1 year before the movie comes out. The movie releases July 16th of 2025. 2026. 1 year from now. Tickets are already on sale. Here's the weird part. They're selling out. It's boggling my mind. A lot of these are already selling out. Now, they're only putting them in the big this is like the big 70 millimeter IMAXs. But let's go. Oh gosh, where can we even look? God, so much of this. Actually, I can just show you this. So you can see here, sold out, sold out, sold out. sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. They're selling this out a year before the movie comes out. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't get it. I don't understand. And I don't know how I feel about this whole situation. I'm like, dude, the movie doesn't come out for a freaking year. How are you planning to go to the movies a year from now? Like, in the middle of the summer season. Like, what? What? Like, seriously. What? I don't know. I I would I don't even think I would buy the tickets a year out. Like, and I'm a big movie guy. Like, I just can't see myself doing it. Like, why would I buy this a year out? Now, it also doesn't help that a lot of these are Regals. And I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of Regal. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, a full year out. I have never seen anything like this. But it makes me curious how big this movie is going to be, right? Obviously, Oppenheimer was a huge hit. I think the Barbenheimer phenomenon was probably part of that. I think that maybe accounted for a not insignificant, but not all of it, but not an insignificant amount of the budget or of the box office there. But, dude, this, I don't know. I'm curious if for some of these event movies, if this is going to be more common. And I'll be honest, I'm hoping not. If I bought tickets to Oppenheimer or to Odyssey now, I might forget about it. Like, it's one of those things that I might forget that I bought the tickets, and I don't know if I would remember. Maybe I would remember when I'd be like, oh yeah, shit, I should go search my email for those because I bought them a year ago as we got close. But yeah, I can't. Yeah, somebody. Let me go chat said at the same time. I'm never gonna forget they bought it in a year. I have no idea. Again, I could see it a month, 2 months, even, but a year. Like, again, I'm gonna be honest. I'm hoping this doesn't become a trend. I don't want to see this become a trend in the movie business. I think it's bad. I also think. I'm hoping it won't become a trend, but I also don't think it will, just because I can't think of any movies that people would want to do that with. That would actually where it would work. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can't think of many trailers where that would be a thing. So let us know. Did you buy tickets to Oppenheimer? Or not Oppenheimer? Why do I keep saying Oppenheimer? Odyssey. Did you buy tickets to the Odyssey? Do you think that buying tickets a year before a movie comes out is a little excessive? Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Moving on, I won't be able to do separate videos of these, but I do want to show some of it because we may as well. Yes, I did see that Tron Ares released a trailer today. And it looks good. It looks really good. I mean, visually, it looks beautiful. And seeing these things from Tron in the real world, is just amazing to me. So I think I now kind of get the gist of what the movie's about. Is that these guys are like, they've somehow either found or like rediscovered the grid, and now they're creating these AI super soldier guys that they can now basically 3D print out of the grid. They can 3D print a program out, 3D print, and turn them into like these super soldier guys. This looks like it's going to be a very action-y movie. I love the light cycles in the real world. The music for it sounds phenomenal. Nine Inch Nails is doing the soundtrack. So, Tron Legacy, it was Daft Punk, and I thought they did that soundtrack is just amazing. But this was going to be done by Nine Inch Nails, and it just looks really good. Jeff Bridges is back, and here's my thing on Tron Ares. What I want is I want them to explain where his son went. If they go through this whole movie and there's just no mention of Flynn's son and what happened in the last movie, and they just kind of pretend it never happened, I'm actually going to be a little irritated. Just look at that visually; it just looks great. I'm super, super impressed with how it looks. I'm actually really hyped for this. I love the Tron franchise. I think that Tron Ares looks just really, really solid. And then chat. This is a Red Band trailer. We got the Red Band trailer for Mortal Kombat. Again, I don't want to get, copyright struck like a mother. So we see Johnny Cage is not just a movie star. He's a has-been movie star, which is great. I think that that's fun. Carl Urban's great. This looks like a lot of fun. It really just looks like a lot of fun. I didn't dislike the first one of these Mortal Kombat movies in this rebooted franchise. Again, I don't expect much out of it. Okay, I don't expect much out of Mortal Kombat. I want to see goofy fight scenes and gory fatalities. So yeah, Carl Urban as a has-been Johnny Cage, right? Like in that reluctant hero role where he's like, I was a thing. Baraka looks really good. I like that they got what's his name from Shogun back as Scorpion. He looks really good again in this movie. I think it looks really, really solid. I think it looks like it's going to be a fun, popcorn flick. I definitely think I'm going to go see it. I saw the first Mortal Kombat. I thought it was fun. I liked the Mortal Kombat from the 90s, and that original Mortal Kombat theme slaps. It's great. It's, again, I do not expect Oscar-winning performances out of a Mortal Kombat movie. I expect them to just be fun. And so both of these, Tron Ares and Mortal Kombat, look like they're going to be really solid films. I'm looking forward to them. I think that they will be. I think they will be fun. I might even go see Mortal Kombat in an IMAX because that might be goofy. Today. Actually, I do know. It's that I've been sleeping lately, which is a problem. That's a whole separate ball of kittens. But yeah, I firmly think that those are both going to be fun movies. I think it's going to be a good year. I'm trying to think of what else is coming after Fantastic Four because I honestly don't remember. So we got Fantastic Four next week. That weird horror movie with Dave Franco and Alison Brie, which I don't want to see. August 1st is The Naked Gun. I will go see that. And it looks like it's actually a sequel to the original Naked Gun franchise. So I will go see The Naked Gun, The Bad Guys 2, which looks like it's going to be cute. I'll probably take my daughter to that. Freakier Friday, I will probably take my daughter to. Trying to think if there's Nobody 2 comes out in August. I'm really trying to see. Oh, The Toxic Avenger with Peter Dinklage comes out in August too. That I will probably go see just to see what it's about. I know it's a thing for the Toxic Avenger franchise, but I'm curious. Oh, this one, The Long Walk. That one I'm really, really looking forward to. That's the one with Mark Hamill and Cooper Huffman and those guys, and I think that's going to be really, really good. The other one that got a trailer recently, which I'm looking forward to, is Project Hail Mary. And it's the same. The short story was written by the guy who did The Martian, and it's got Ryan Gosling, and it looks both funny and touching, and it looks like it's got a message to it, and there's the coolest looking spaceship. Very alien looking spaceship, right? When you see it, it doesn't look like, look at that. That looks amazing. And then there's a little alien dude, and we all like aliens. Okay. We look like we got a cute alien, right? And so I want to see the cute alien and what happens when when we get the cute alien. Okay, so I'm looking forward to that. That comes out later this year. Black Phone 2. So it looks like October's kind of... No, October's got Tron Ares, so I'll be happy that month. Mostly I plot these out, so I know I'm going to go see things, at least a couple of movies a month. November, The Running Man. Oh, The Running Man remake. That looks like it's going to be good, too. That's got Glenn Powell. The new Now You See Me comes out in November. Wicked comes out in November. Zootopia 2 comes out in November. FNAF 2 comes out in December. Avatar comes out in December. That's going to be huge. And then basically that brings us to the end of the year. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I'm curious. You know, I'm curious how well the rest of the year is going to go. There also may be some other surprise ones we just don't know about yet. I don't know if the whole... I usually find that I miss one or two as we go. All right, let me go back and look. You can't beat Schwarzenegger's version. Schwarzenegger's version is fun, but it's not really a very good adaptation as far as adaptations go. It's not a close adaptation to the source material. So what I want to know is, are they going to do a more closely held adaptation of the source material? That's what I want to know about. And I like Glenn Powell. I think he's got like true movie star capability. I think he's going to be like, I can't tell if his trajectory is going to go more Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt. Tough to say. But I do think that it looks like a solid film. Anything good around Christmas? Domestic release schedule. Let's look at December. Yeah, Avatar. I mean, FNAF if you're into that. There will be another horror thingy there. Avatar, Fire and Ash. That's going to be the big one for December. And I'm sure people are staying away from December because of it. Because that's just going to dominate December. Is Avatar. So, and this is like Mordor Avatar, right? This is Fire and Ash. So it's like all the evil Navi or something like that. Yeah. And again, I'm sure there's stuff that's just not counted yet. But you gotta remember, like, what I'm actually curious about is why there's nothing. What day is Christmas Day this year? What day is Christmas Day? No, stop that. I just want to look at the image. Christmas Day is a Thursday. It's that. I liked the second Avatar. I don't. So here's the thing. There's a couple of different types of people who like the Avatar movies, right? There are some crazy Avatar fans out there. Like they are woo-hoo-hoo, like super, super into it. I am not that type of Avatar fan. I'm just not. I thought the first one was okay. I saw it in 3D back when we were, first really getting the 3D movies back out, and I thought it was a gimmick. I thought it was kind of neat, right, in 3D, but I thought it was Fern Gully meets Dancing with the Wolves in Space. Dances with Wolves in Space. That's what it is. It's Fern Gully meets Dances with Wolves in Space. That's the first movie. Sorry, just is. It's got its own elements to it, but that's how I feel about it. I thought the second one was actually better. This is one of those situations where I actually think they improved it with the sequel. Because in the sequel, you're not doing the basic world building, right? Because you did that in the first movie. And everybody saw the first movie. And so you don't need to explain who the Na'vi are anymore. You don't need to explain what Pandora is. You don't need to explain why the humans are doing crap. Right? So you're building on what you've already got as a foundation in the film. And I think that that's a good thing. I think it's a good idea to have that. So I think the second Avatar was actually, in a lot of ways, better than the first one. There's more family dynamic because Jake Sully's now older and he's got kids, and there's a pretty significant time jump between the first film and the second film. Um, so I think the second Avatar is worth it, right? I think it's worth a watch. Again, do I think they're the greatest films of all time? No. Do I think it's the greatest franchise of all time? No. Um, are they visually stunning and really interesting to see? Yeah. And each one of these, they're building a new type of Navi, right? First one, we get forest Navi. Second one, we get the water Navi. Now we're getting the fucking volcano Navi, right? In the third one, and apparently there's supposed to be 5, and they're going to represent the 5 main elements, I guess. But don't bet against James Cameron, right? And I know we've done this. Top box office of all time. Okay, let's do this. Okay, 3 of the top 5 highest grossing films in the history of cinema are James Cameron. Okay, it's Avatar, Titanic. Okay, Avatar, Titanic. He has 3 of the top 5, including the highest grossing film of all time. Which I personally think Endgame's a better movie. That's just my opinion. I liked Endgame more. And it got close. It got really close to beating Avatar. But, 6 movies in the history of the world have made $2 billion at the box office. 6 movies in the history of cinema have made $2 billion at the box office, and James Cameron made 3 of them. He owns 50% of the total movies that have made billions at the box office. Okay, of $2 billion at the box office. So do I think that Avatar 3 is gonna make $2 billion? If it holds to its current downward trend, no, I don't. It made about 20% less than the first Avatar, and I think it's probably going to drop another 15% on this one. Now, does that mean it's a failure? No, it means it's going to make like 1.8, $1.9 billion if it continues dropping. So is that a failure of a film? No. It just may not make quite 2 billion. Tough to say. Now here's the thing, it could end up being even better than the second one, and then maybe it makes more than the second one. But yeah, I mean, do not doubt that Avatar is going to make money. And again, they're not bad movies. Bad movies don't make $2.3 billion. They just don't. Okay? They just don't. They're not going to make $2.3 billion if they're crap. They're certainly not going to make $2.9 billion if they're crap. Again, do I think they're the greatest franchises of all time? Not by a freaking long shot. Will I go see Avatar 3? Yes. Will I try and get an early screening in so I can review it on this channel? Yes. I have early screening tickets with Jay next week to see Fantastic Four, I think on Wednesday. Is when we're going. So we'll record our reviews and put them up on YouTube that night, like we've done with Thunderbolts and with Superman. So we will get our review out for Fantastic Four as early as we can. But I think that's Wednesday. Not sure. I think I should really check. I should really check. I think it's Wednesday is when we're going to go see Fantastic Four. Yeah, it's hard to believe that's next week. I actually might see if I can sneak in a showing of Superman this weekend. I might. Because I do want to see it again, and I just haven't had a chance. I know Jay went again last weekend. He went for the second showing and still loves it. Still thinks it's a great show. So there's that. Let's see here. Do I have anything in this? We kind of talked about the Emmys. My big one is that they didn't get the actor nods that I think they should have gotten for Andor. That was my gripe about the Emmys. That would be That's my gripe about the Emmys. Is again, Andor got nominated for a lot of stuff, but I think Diego Luna should have gotten a nod. I think the woman who played Mon Mothma should have gotten a nod from the Emmys. I'm not surprised they didn't, because of how deep in the genre world it is, and because it's the Emmys. Um, and again, much like the era with Shogun, where Shogun just cleaned up, I think any single category where the Pit is nominated, it's gonna win. It's just gonna. I just want the list. Just give me the list. There it is. Hollywood Reporter. Thank you. Jesus Christ. So, I mean, we can run through it real quick before the end of the show. No, yeah, I got you. Thank you. Best drama series, Andor, The Diplomat, The Last of Us, which shouldn't have gotten nominated, in my opinion. Shouldn't have. Paradise, The Pit, Severance, Slow Horses, The White Lotus. It's The Pit. I don't think all award shows are garbage. Again, I think it depends on the award show. The Golden Globes are pretty useless. But the Globes are pretty useless, but the Emmys are pretty good. They're usually not a very good show, but it's a good gauge as to where the audience is at. Again, I think best drama series. What the hell? What is wrong with you, machine? Stop that. Best drama. Wow, you are being weird. Yeah, I think it's The Pit. Best comedy, I want it to be Only Murders in the Building. They keep getting nominated, and they keep getting beaten by The Bear. And The Bear is not a comedy series. What is The Pit? It is a new hospital drama series on HBO Max. It has Noah Wiley from ER fame, and it is renowned for its level of accuracy. A lot of medical people have commented about how accurate it is about the ER. They deal with a lot of different topics about things in the ER, from healthcare to mass shootings and mental health and all kinds of stuff. But it also kind of functions like that show 24, if you remember that, where that show 24 was always 24 episodes, and it was always every hour was exactly an hour in real time in the show. The Pit works like that. Each hour of the show, stop that. Each hour of the show is an hour of their shift. And they end up having to go long on their shift, so it's actually 14 episodes. It's a great show. I watched the whole thing with my wife. I can't speak highly enough of it. What is The Bear? The Bear is it's about people who cook. It's not a comedy. It's not a comedy. I don't know why they keep calling it a comedy. Abbott Elementary? God dang, what is wrong with this thing? Abbott Elementary is a comedy. Okay? That right there, that is a comedy. Only Murders in the Building, that's a comedy. Shrinking, which I think should win. Okay, actually. Sorry. What should win? Shrinking. Shrinking should win. Shrinking should win. Shrinking should win. The Studio, I like. Probably shouldn't win, not my opinion. I love Shrinking. I think Shrinking is one of the best shows on television right now. Best comedy should go to Shrinking. Limited or Anthology, I didn't watch enough of these. I think The Penguins got a good shot at winning this. I think it's got a really good shot at winning that. Best TV movie, I don't have enough to know about. Best reality, I don't give a crap. Best talk series is only 3. Daily Show, Jimmy Kimmel, and Late Show with Stephen Colbert. They should give it to Colbert just because he's getting canceled. They really should. I'm like, sorry. Shrinking is Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. It's on Apple TV Plus. And Jason Segel and Harrison Ford both play psychiatrists. They're like therapists. And the whole premise of the show is that Jason Segel's wife died like a year before the show starts. And it's a comedy about him dealing with his grief of his wife dying and everybody around him and his family and the people that come into his life. And it is absolutely hilarious. It's Harrison Ford in one of the best roles he's ever done. Ever. He's freaking phenomenal in the movie or in the show. Jason Segel is great in the show. Everybody is good in the show. It's, again, I absolutely adore Shrinking. Best talk series, yeah, give it to Stephen Colbert just because he's getting canceled. This is interesting. Scripted variety series is only Last Week Tonight and Saturday Night Live. I don't know. Last Week Tonight, I guess. Sure, give it to John Oliver. Best actor in a drama series. The Pit. Right? I don't know how the fuck you nominated Pedro Pascal for The Last of Us. I like Pedro Pascal. I think he's a great actor. He was in 2 episodes. He's not a lead actor. He's not a lead actor in the second season. He is a supporting actor in the second season. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So if he wins it, I'm going to be pissed. I have watched the first episode of Paradise. I'm not impressed yet. I love Sterling K. Brown. Not impressed yet. Noah Wiley for The Pit. I think he's going to win. Best Actress. They couldn't get anybody from The Pit for this, apparently. I'm surprised. Kathy Bates for Matlock, which I think is interesting. Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us. No. Kerry Russell for The Diplomat. Maybe this one's a toss-up. I don't know. Supporting. Severance. White Lotus. Paradise. I wonder which shows. I'm not a big White Lotus fan. Right? So, I don't know. Best actor in a limited or anthology. God dang it, stupid thingy. Stop doing that. It better be Colin Farrell. Like, it needs to be Colin Farrell in The Penguin. I'm sorry. He was just too good. Supporting actress in a drama series, Kathleen Lanasa for The Pit. That's who I think should win it. This is the one where I think she might not because everybody loves White Lotus. But Kathleen Lanasa in The Pit is good. Best guest actor in a drama series, Sean Hatoshi for The Pit. I kind of hope Forrest Whitaker wins it for Andor. That's what I'm aiming at, is Forrest Whitaker for Andor. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd like to see it. Guest actress in a drama series. This is another one is I don't care. Actress in a comedy. I haven't watched most of these because none of these appeal to me. Actor in a comedy series. I think it should be Jason Segel. This is actually the first year. Usually they nominate both Martin Short and Steve Martin for Only Murders in the Building. This is the first year I've only seen Martin Short nominated. But I would give it to... Stop that. I would give it... Why does it do that? I'm not scrolling with the thingy. I would give it to Jason Segel. That's the one that I like the best. And I like Seth Rogen in the studio, but I think he's playing Seth Rogen again. So, supporting actor in a comedy, I would give it to Harrison Ford for Shrinking. Like, without a doubt. Like, blah. The Bear is not a comedy. The Bear is not a comedy. It's got funny parts, but it's not funny. So yeah, I would give it to Harrison Ford for Shrinking. Supporting actress in a comedy series. Jessica Williams is hilarious in Shrinking, and I want her to win it. Catherine Hahn is good in the studio, too. So is Catherine O'Hara in the studio. Both of them deserve that nomination. Guest actor in a comedy series. Pick one. This one was actually really funny when Martin Scorsese was in there. That was a good episode. Guest actress in a comedy series. I don't care. Give Kristen Milioti her win for The Penguin. She was so great. I'm trying to think here. Limited anthology. I don't know. I don't care. I don't remember who that was in The Penguin. I'd have to look. Best writing. Which is interesting because Shrinking got nominated everywhere but Best Writing. I don't know if I would give it to the studio for writing. Wouldn't give it to them for their cinematography, though. It's great. Best writing for a drama series. The Pit got nominated twice. Again, I think The Pit's going to take this one. I think The Pit's going to take most of the ones that they are nominated for. Directing, The Pit. 2 for The Penguin here. So yeah, I think it's The Pit's year. I think that just because, oops, wrong one. Just because of kind of what's coming out this year and how much everybody loved The Pit. That's what it is. Tip, it's nice to see you in the chat. Welcome to the show. Again, I got a few minutes left that I can spare here. So again, if you guys have any other stuff, we talked Emmys, we talked movies, that you guys want to talk about, I hope Penguin gets at least one. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. I think the best shot at it is probably Colin Farrell, because him or Kristen Milioti for their roles in Penguin, because it was good. I hope Murderbot gets plenty of nods next year. I haven't had a chance to watch Murderbot yet. Excuse me. I'm here doing the show with you guys. I'm not watching TV right now. So yeah. Yeah, if anybody has any more questions before we jump off for tonight's show, go ahead and throw them in the chat right now. Because I've run through all my lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. It's all done. I need to clean up this rundown document. Holy smokes. Yeah, and again, I feel really great that we got our first, hey, you guys are studio shills comment. That makes me feel like I've really made it in YouTube, right? Like, I really feel like on YouTube, when you're a pop culture commentator, you haven't made it until somebody calls you a shill for a studio, right? Can we agree on that, chat? I feel really good. That makes me so happy. I've always wanted to be called a shill for a studio. It was awesome. What is the answer to life, universe, everybody knows the answer is 42. So, yeah, like I said, if you guys got any more questions or anything else that you wanted to see here at the, as we get close to the end of the show, go ahead and throw them in the chat down the thing. How was my Final Fantasy Magic Hunt? Not great, because I didn't buy that much. I'll be honest. I bought some, but like when I usually go into a fresh MTG set, I'm usually, my general buy, generally speaking, is I buy the pre-release kit when I do the pre-release event, right? And then I buy a collector box, right? That's my general buy. And then I pick up packs here and there as I go to like LGSs for Friday Night Magic. The pricing on Final Fantasy was so abso-fucking-lutely ridiculous that I just couldn't bring myself to do the normal thing that I buy. And again, I'm not even buying collector booster packs like somebody's bringing up in the chat. Normally, when I go to the LGS, I don't buy play boosters anymore because I just don't have enough of the cards that I want. So generally, when I go to the LGS, I buy 1 or 2 collector booster packs, right? That's generally what I get. This time, I did not. I was like, I just can't justify it. I bought 2 of the Commander decks. So I have the Una one and I have the Terra one. And I'm going to go play the Una one again this weekend. I might play the Terra one this weekend. I got some neat stuff. They have some neat cards in there. I pulled, hang on, I'll just bring them up on TCG Player. So some of the ones that I enjoyed, right, that I pulled, and I pulled them, organically. I actually got this one out of my pre-release kit. Hang on, I'm trying to get it to zoom so it like looks better. There we go. I got this one, Kefka Palazzo, which is a reprint of Porphyro's God of the Forge. This one was really neat. I pulled it in my collector booster box. I have already built a deck out of it. It does exactly what I wanted it to do. I made this with goblins, right? And so it's goblin token burn. Like, so every time I just generate crap tons of creature tokens so I can deal damage to my opponents, right? It's a really fun card. It was an easy deck to build. It was a lot of fun. I also pulled, I actually just pulled this one the other day too. I pulled, which one? Which version did I pull? I pulled this one. Staying on our Final Fantasy VI run, which apparently is what I'm going to pull. Kefka Court Mage. I pulled this. This is kind of fun. When he enters your attacks, each player discards cards, then draw a card for each card type of one card, so it's discarded this way. So I have this one. This one's pretty fun. Um, I'm sure I pulled some of them. I pulled a lot of like the ones from like not a magic value standpoint, but from a nostalgia standpoint that I wanted, right? I got a couple of different Vincent Valentines. I got some of the I got the Titus reprint. Which one was that one? There was a Titus reprint that I thought was pretty neat. Maybe it wasn't Titus. Um, I have a couple of different Sephiroths. I have a couple of different Clouds. I heard you pulled all of the Aeriths, their VT pilot. Somebody told me that. Um, yeah, I pulled some fun stuff, you know. And there's some neat things. I got a couple of jumbo Cactuars. I got a VV, but VV was the one that I acquired that I didn't buy, because I wanted the VV, because I'm working on a VV deck. Um, so yeah. So I got some stuff, but I didn't go crazy on this set, because I just couldn't justify spending money on it. That I couldn't justify spending the amount of money. Now this is actually one where I'm buying play booster packs. So um I've gotten a bunch of play boosters. I may be able to give you some of the SIDs. I'm not sure. Because I pulled a few of them. Is there a Wooburg Sid commander like that you could build with all SIDs? I was not. If there is, I wasn't aware of it. But yeah, I'm working on a VV deck. I've already built the Kefka deck, that Porphyros one. I'm going to build. I know somebody I know built the Tifa deck. Again, I've got two of the precons. I'm gonna keep piloting Yuna and maybe Terra this weekend to see if I want. Oh wait, man, can you? I'll have to find out about that. Hang on. I want to look. So Timeless Artificer. So I'm looking at a couple of Moxfield decks. Creatures, 29 Sid Timeless Artificers. You can put all the Sid Timeless Artificers. Oh, so yeah. So you would have to get all Timeless Artificers. That's what you're talking about. Okay, that makes more sense. Not all the different types of Sid. How many Sids did they make? They're all Timeless Artificers? Let me look. I'll be honest. I don't. If they did, I didn't pull them all. Oh. So they're all the different arts are all the same card, but each one is a different art from a different Sid because it's always Sid. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Yeah, and it's white blue. I probably would just build, if I was going to build this, I'm just saying, if I was going to do it, I would build it as a commander deck, but I wouldn't have, like the one I just saw in Moxburg's got 29 of them. I would probably just run all 15. Right? Or 14, right? So I would run one of each just for funsies. It's a white blue, and there's a lot of stuff you could do with that. There are 15 different cards featuring Sid, also titled Sid Timeless Artificer. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, you could run all of them in the deck because they're all the same color combination. So there's 15 Sids. I saw one on Macho that was that. I would probably go 15 Sids. That actually does seem like fun. I wonder how expensive that would be. 15 Sid cards. That's amusing to me, though. That's pretty funny. That and some hero generation and some stuff. And it's cheap cards, 4 mana drop. And you could pick one, and really it could be any of them. Could be the commander. If it ignores the legendary. How's Edge of Eternities look to everyone so far? I don't know. It looks like it could be fun, but I have a feeling this set... I have a feeling this set's not going to do well for a couple of reasons. One, I think everybody's kind of burned after Final Fantasy because it was so fucking expensive. There's a lot of really good cards in it. And they put in some really neat reprints specifically. Like some of the pixel art reprints from like that were their classic Magic cards that were reprinted with the Final Fantasy flair to them. It looks good. I haven't seen the pricing on Spider-Man yet. I don't think it's quite as bad as Final Fantasy was. Play boosters 190. I'm seeing 150 for a play booster. I don't know why the resale on Spider-Man ones are going up so high. That tells me something funky's going on. That's resale. What's the MSRP? God damn it. Collector boosters are $37.99. $456. So that's actually more in line with a play booster. So if the MSRP on a collector booster, yeah, $455. That's about right. That doesn't surprise me. That's actually not terrible. Not like Final Fantasy, because again, the MSRP on the collector booster boxes for Final Fantasy were ridiculous. A play booster box being around $200 doesn't surprise me. That puts it more in line with Lord of the Rings. That puts it more in line with Lord of the Rings. So that doesn't bother me. And look, VT Pilot, I'm with you. I would have gone ham on the Final Fantasy set. I did on Assassin's Creed because I love Assassin's Creed. I bought so much Assassin's Creed, and because I love the property so much. And I bought, but they were also normal priced things. Like they weren't crazy. I would have gone completely ham on Final Fantasy. I would have been singing the Peter Griffin, like, I've got $30,000 in credit card debt. But I just saw the pricing and I was like, you know what? I just can't bring myself to do it. I couldn't do it. I did get one of the Costco bundles, which had the Terra deck and 3 booster packs, which I think was a good deal. It was like $66. Yeah, no cars for 20 years. And yeah, if it's the first set you've really got into, again, this is one I would have gone ham on. If it would have been in line with Lord of the Rings pricing or like Lord of the Rings cost, I probably would have done it. I probably would have gone a little ham on this one. And I'm not done buying them. I'll keep buying a few here and there. And then I'm going to MagicCon in September. Yeah, I'm going to MagicCon in September. I get collector booster packs for Spider-Man as part of it. It's pre-release weekend for Spider-Man at MagicCon, so I will do a 2-headed giant while I'm there for pre-release with Colin, and that'll be that. So, again, I think Edge of Eternities, I think a lot of people are burned out because of all the Final Fantasy cost. I think it's coming too fast after the release of Final Fantasy. This one feels like a new Capenna, Aether Drift, Outlaws set to me. I don't hear a lot of hype about it. Like the last one that I remember, hang on. Trying to remember the last one that I saw a lot of hype on. Tarkir, there was good hype on. Aether Drift, I think, was a dump. Duskmourn was okay. Everybody loved Bloomborough. Bloomborough was great. Bloomborough was awesome. The JP collector boosters might not be a bad idea. Maybe I'll buy those. Outlaws was kind of a flop. Karlov, not great. Lost Caverns wasn't super either. Wilds of Eldraine was good. March of the Machine was a dump. Phyrexia was okay. Brothers War was okay. Dominaria United was really good. So after the fall set pre-release, the 4 oldest sets in standard. So March of the Machine, Phyrexia, Brothers War, DU are about to rotate out of standard. But not that that matters to Commander players. Nobody gives a shit. But if you're asking about Edge of Eternities, I'm not sure how well it's going to do. I'm not convinced it's going to do great. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I'm not convinced. So we're going to find out. I'll be at pre-release next weekend, next Friday. I go to every pre-release because I like pre-release a lot. It also gives me kind of a good general idea of whether I like the set or not. Is when I do my pre-release, how much I like the set. The last one I had a lot of fun with, I think, was Bloomborough. I had fun at the Duskmourn pre-release. Duskmourn was pretty fun. I think Aether Drift and I think Outlaws are one of those sets that, like New Capenna, everybody's going to come back to a year later and go, okay, now it's good, because there's going to be a bunch of stuff in there that's going to work out better later, or it's going to be misjudged. I was a little upset with the Tarkir pre-release, but I did the Final Fantasy pre-release too, and that was a lot of fun. I did do the Final Fantasy pre-release. So what's releasing? Release schedule 2025. I think that's it. Oh no, Avatar. See, this is again where I don't like this. And if you want to talk, this is finally going to be a UB set that I don't give any crap about. And I haven't actually had one yet. Since I re-entered Magic when I was in the store, when I owned the game store, every UB set that they've had since then, I liked, right? It was like, I was like, yeah, okay, right? So Lord of the Rings, Warhammer, Doctor Who, Fallout, like some of them I liked more than others, Assassin's Creed, Final Fantasy, hell, even Spider-Man. But Avatar The Last Airbender, dog dead. But now they're doing Avatar The Last Airbender. And I think this is the first UB set, Universes Beyond set, where I was like, I don't care. Like, I have no desire to play it at all. Like, I just don't care. That seems like one I'll single out if I see stuff. All 3 UB sets this year standard legal. Yes, they are standard legal. So every Universes Beyond set from Final Fantasy forward will be standard legal. So yep. So they should be standard legal. Yeah, I think that ending the year with 2 Universe Beyond sets is a mistake. Because you got Spider-Man and Avatar, and I think that's a mistake. I really do. I think you need to, because what they generally do is you get like a UB and then 1 or 2 standard like normal Magic lore sets, right? So we had Innistrad Remastered, which isn't a full set released. Aether Drift, Tarkir, right? Cool. Those are both Magic. Then you have a Universes Beyond set, right? Then you go back to standard Magic Edge of Eternities, right? Then you do UB Spider-Man. But I think doing 2 Universes Beyond full sets back to back is a mistake. Are we talking about this one over here? If that's who you're talking about, that's Lewis Black. He is one of my favorite comedians. That's a signed Lewis Black poster that my wife got me when we saw him in Bellingham. Yeah, so he's one of my favorite comedians. So that's who that is. All right. Yeah, I'm not super hyped about it. I don't know about anything. Q1, we're going to have a return to Lorwyn, which is going to be a Magic set for 2026. Arcavios, I think they're going back to Strixhaven at some point. Yeah. The setting for Strixhaven is coming out next year. That one I'm actually looking forward to. Zip lining the capsule set. That's Q3. UB sets. Nothing firm for next year, so we don't know what's coming. Lorwyn will be interesting. I'm looking forward to Lorwyn. That one's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah. I will be curious to read the financials when they release the Q3 financials in Q4. When they release Q3 financials for Wizards and we see how much money they made off the Final Fantasy set, that's going to be really, really interesting. I'm sure it's going to be a lot, but I'm really curious to hear how much they made off of Final Fantasy, like what the actual dollars are. So, and I really do think that Final Fantasy and Spider-Man are going to make their year. You know, they're going to blow it out of the water, and Hasbro's going to be very, very happy. I want Universes Beyond Halo. I don't think Halo would be a bad one. I think we've done this topic before, like what we'd like to see for Universes Beyond. I don't think Halo would be bad. I don't think Skyrim would be bad. I don't think that what was that one? Dragon Age? Dragon Age would not be bad. We got to talk about bigger. Halo is a big enough franchise where I could see them doing it. I'm trying to think of what are big enough franchises to justify it. There's a bunch of stuff. Are you talking about this thing up here? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. I'm trying to think of what's big enough. I've heard rumors about Star Trek and Star Wars. That's the rumor. Oh, that's a Mariners Cup. It's the Mariners logo upside down. It's a Mariners Cup from the Mariners game. I showed it off on stream a few weeks ago when Jay and I went to the Mariners game. I've heard rumors of Star Wars and Star Trek. I know Star Wars has their own TCG right now, but so does Final Fantasy for that fucking matter. So, you know, doesn't seem to matter. Whether you write your own TCG, you know, Wizards will still buy the license. And again, I don't know if I would want to see. I don't know if I would want to see a Star Trek or Star Wars one. And we're talking about full UB sets, not like the little 4-packs that they do, which I've got a bunch of, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I'm trying to think of what would be a big enough one. Cowboy Bebop is not a big enough franchise to justify a full set. I could see them doing it as a secret layer with like Spike, Jet, Faye, Ed, Ein, and like Vicious. There's your 6, right? Release a 6-card secret layer set. Then you could do that with you could legitimately do that with Universes Beyond at that level. Definitely the animated one. Like the live action was not well received, and that's why it only did 8 episodes and died. I can definitely see them doing something like Cowboy Bebop as a secret layer. I don't know if I care that much, but I would probably buy it. Let's face it. No, I'm a Cowboy Bebop fan. I'm trying to think of what franchises are actually. I'm like literally looking around my room at all the fandom crap. I don't know if they counted. I'm trying to remember if they counted Baldur's Gate as a Universes Beyond. Was that a UB set technically? No, it was Commander Legends. It was not technically a Universes Beyond set. It was a Commander Legends set. I could see them going back to D&D. That I'm actually kind of surprised they haven't. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they haven't done that. When did that come out? It was a while ago. Was Forgotten Realms a UB set? I'm trying to remember. That's right, because Forgotten Realms, I know Baldur's Gate was Commander only. It wasn't even legal in Standard. No, that wasn't a UB set either. It was just a set. No, that was not a Universes Beyond set. It doesn't count as Universes Beyond. Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they didn't. CLB was 2022, so that's what I thought. And I knew we were open. I had the store then. Wow, you can still buy the freaking bundles. That's hilarious. I wouldn't be surprised if we got another Dungeons and Dragons set at some point from universes from Magic. That wouldn't shock me. But again, I'm trying to think. The only UBD&D was the movie Secret Lair they made from Unisys with there was the one for the movie tie-in, which was a thing. I'm not. I don't know, chat. What do you think? I mean, I can't off the top of my head, because they want to make them all standard legal, and this is where Assassin's Creed kind of got left behind. The franchise wasn't big enough. There wasn't enough IP for them to work with to even make it a full set, right? So it was a UB set, but like the play boosters, they were beyond boosters. They weren't even full play boosters. They were like 8 card packs. The collector boosters were regular, and they didn't do a pre-release for it because there wasn't enough stuff. Again, I thought it was a really good set for what it was, but it was not a normal set. Like, it wasn't a full set release. And there was no commander decks, right? They made no commander decks for that. And then for Warhammer 40K, that's all they did was 4 commander decks and done. For Doctor Who, they did the 4 commander decks and collector boosters, and that was it. So some of these just aren't, and I think with them wanting to make Universes Beyond Standard legal, you've either got to have a crap ton of reprints, which is, I noticed something they did with Final Fantasy, Magic the Gathering, Law and Order. Yes, Law and Order has a long enough story where you could probably create an entire set. Jack McCoy. That would be one of your big commanders, would be Jack McCoy. Yes, Law and Order is a big enough one. Will they do it? No, definitely not. MTG Jag. Give me some other ones. This is kind of fun. What could I see them doing a full set out of? Besides Marvel, you could do another Marvel set, because this one is Spider-Man. It's not even Marvel; it's just Spider-Man. So you could do X-Men next. It wouldn't surprise me if next year one of the Universes Beyond was X-Men. Yes, I want a Detective Stabler commander. Oh boy. Detective Stabler commander goads every turn. That's what it does. It's a goading commander. Supernatural could be. Trying to think if they've done any Universes Beyond specifically off of live action stuff. And I don't think they have. I don't think they've ever done really a live action franchise as a UB set. Not really. Battletech Mech Warrior. No, you could probably do it as, again, that would be a secret layer. I could see them doing a secret layer of that. I don't know. I don't honestly, unless they dug into the old canon, I don't know if you could make a full set out of Star Wars. I don't think you could do it, or Star Trek. Not again without doing a lot of weird reprints. Final Fantasy is so massive because it has so many games that I absolutely, it was a no-brainer for them. Spider-Man's big enough. I think we're going to get a lot of reprints in there too. Yeah, that's a good question. And the thing is everybody keeps saying like, oh, Universes Beyond's going to die. I'm like, no, it's not, because they make crap tons of money. Every one of the Universes Beyond sets sells really well. I think the closest I could say to being like it didn't sell great was Assassin's Creed, but everything else, like Lord of the Rings sold really well, Warhammer sold really well, Doctor Who sold really well, Final Fantasy for sure really well. They've done Rick and Morty. I think they've done a Rick and Morty Secret Lair. Yeah, they did a Rick and Morty Secret Lair. They did the Sonic Secret Lair. I don't even know if you can still buy them. Let's find out. Let's find out together as friends. Oh, you can. You can actually still buy the Sonic and Friends Secret Lair. Let's see, everyone's invited one. Yep. Yeah. So you can actually still get a hold of the Sonic stuff. That's amazing to me. The complete bundles are gone. Chasing, you can still get some of the Sonic Secret Lairs, not the good stuff though. The full set is gone. The Sonic 100% complete bundle is gone. You can get the Friends and Foes and the Friends and Foes foil still, which still has Shadow and Sonic and Miles and Knuckles, Amy and Dr. Eggman. So you can still get it. Do I want it? That's a very good question. One of the bundles for Final Fantasy Secret Lair, turn an extra Final Fantasy Collector Commander for it. Yeah, look, they did a lot of good stuff with the Final Fantasy sets. I can't fault them. There's good stuff with Final Fantasy. I think the Commander decks, I think we're going to get another set of Commander bundles probably around Christmas time, because you usually see those come back to Costco around Christmas. Again, I got 2 of them, just kind of by happenstance. Yeah, I kind of want to buy that. I don't think I need money. Yeah, it's. I don't know what they could do. That's actually a very good question. That's a very, very good question. I don't know. Halo or Star Wars works since spaceships and planets are thing. So yeah, the spaceships and planets now being a thing with Edge of Eternity, that now changes kind of it changes the calculus on Halo, Star Wars, Star Trek. Like now you're introducing them in a standard set. I think all of the spoilers for Edge of Eternities end tomorrow. Because I think they're doing I think they start I think they start the spoilers for Spider-Man next week. I've got a bunch of the. Oh, that's a cute doggy there in Edge of Eternities. Look at the top 2. Put one in your hand, one in your radar. That's a puppy. We like puppies. I think they're almost done with the spoilers. Some of the art looks really cool. Again, I'll get a better feeling for it. What's really interesting is the rule change they made about now letting you have legendary vehicles be your commander. That's going to change some stuff. So there's a couple of legendary vehicles that I think would make a good commander. Tap another creature you control, put charge counters until it is. It's an artifact creature at 9 up. And then it becomes a 3/4. The spacecraft is an interesting mechanic, and I kind of want to see how it's going to work. I think you're going to see those used a lot more in Commander. I guess you could do it pretty quickly because it's equal to their power. Whenever creature controls, There's some, there's some interesting, there's some interesting stuff here. There's some interesting stuff, and I'm curious how well it's going to do. I don't know. I wonder if there's enough from Battlestar Galactica to make a full Universes Beyond. Probably. There's probably enough there to do a UB. But yeah, I think it was Gods of Magic earlier said, now that spacecraft and planets are in here, it does make it a lot easier. It absolutely does. They also have a warp thingy. There's a new warp mechanic. Ooh, new lands. Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Yeah, I'm kind of curious. What's going to happen with Edge of Eternities? This one's hard. This one's actually really hard to tell. There's a cyborg Corgi. I'd almost like them to re-release some stuff. Like, I would love if they did a re-release of the 40k Commander decks. That wouldn't be a bad thing. I'd go buy some more. Excuse me. Yeah, this one's gonna be interesting. Fallout Part 2, I don't know. Again, actually, that's another one. And I liked the Fallout Universes Beyond. But again, there wasn't enough material for them to create a full set out of it. That's why they had 4 commander decks and that was it. And half of it was fucking reprints, right? It was, Dogmeatron with a large chunk of that deck was like, we're reprinting Swiftfoot boots and things like that. Yeah. Trying to think video games wise. God, that's some pretty art. I want some of the full art land. Like, look at this. That just looks dope. That looks really, really good. Really, really good. That's pretty. That's super cool looking. Yeah, I don't know how well this is going to do. Again, I'll have a better feel for it, but this one just seems like it's got a lot of weird mechanics in it that people are not gonna be a big fan of. The first time you create one or more tokens each turn, you may instead create that many tokens that are copies of a Tiana permanent. Oh, that's neat. Universes Beyond Call of Duty. That would be pretty funny. All right, guys, we've been going for 2 hours now. So I think at this point we're gonna call it a night. Hopefully Jay is back next week, or I can get a guest because it's a lot easier when I've got guests. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thank you, chat, for being pretty active. I think we managed to kind of keep this one rolling. Again, it's hard to talk for like 2 hours straight. You need to have somebody to throw stuff to. But I will talk to everybody later. Have a wonderful night. Bye.